I'm not going to lead you one way or the other.
Yeah.
I would think if you're drinking this beer, you're going to be very deliberate about it.
You're on purpose.
Correct.
Most people were like you probably and be like, ooh, oysters.
Ooh.
No thanks. Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dolan.
I am not excited for this.
How come?
We've had some weird beers before.
Sure.
This one's made with oysters.
Ooh.
Oyster? Is that oyster?
Oyster.
Oyster.
Yeah.
Oysters.
Oysters.
Doylan. Dolan makes fun of the way I say certain words.
Well,
So
as he should.
Right.
Yeah.
Treasure.
Treasure.
Yes. What are the other?
Theater? Was it theater?
Theater.
You got
Yeah,
the theater.
It's theater.
Theater.
So oysters. HenHouse Brewing Company.
Sonoma,
California.
That's wine country, baby.
I guess it's also Oyster Stout country. Ale brewed. Okay, figure this out. HenHouse Oyster Stout. Ale brewed with whole oysters.
Yes.
Raw. Raw.
Well, yeah, they
Right?
have to be. You don't cook them. You don't bread them and
Do
then
they-
throw them in the pot.
Do they cook in the boil?
I'll tell you.
Oh.
I will tell you.
Nice.
Okay, let's open it and I'll tell you what I know about the brewery because yikes.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this before we even get into that. I've never had an oyster stout.
No.
For the same reason.
Right.
I was scared that when you poured that, it was just going to, like a bloop, big old oyster was going to come out.
Ooh. Like maybe some of the little bits you get in like an IPA, but little pieces of oyster.
There's floaties. Floaties.
Oyster shells?
Oyster floaties.
Let's hope not.
Oh, gosh. Okay. HenHouse Brewing Company is located at 322 Bellevue Ave in Santa Rosa, California. They are open noon 30 to 8, Monday through Sunday. Pretty standard
Monday
hours.
through Sunday.
Monday through Sunday. About this beer, this is on their Untapped profile.
Okay.
So I wrote it down. We brew this beer in tribute to the waterways and ecosystems that have made this region of California so vital for so long. Whole oysters from Hog Island Oyster Company and a touch of sea salt imbue, I-M-B-U-E,
Imbue, yeah.
Imbue.
That could, give flavor.
Oh, give flavors of the sea. Well, duh. The calcium from the oysters brings out the chocolate and coffee notes from the California-grown malt from Admiral Maltings in Alameda.
Says the same thing on a can, just a little bit of a different wording. Yeah.
Okay, let's...
I got to say, I love the can.
The can's great.
The logo's great. The imaging is great. The font is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this would be a cool sign. You know what I mean?
Oh, like a tin
big
sign?
or
Yeah.
just a poster.
Yep.
This would be something that would be pretty cool, especially if we had a farmhouse.
He's a very regal-looking rooster.
They have roosters on every can that I saw online.
HenHouse.
Yes. So which is funny because the rooster's not a hen, but he's in charge of the hen house, I guess.
Oh, boy. Okay, it smells like...
It smells like oyster.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You're getting the smell.
I've never had an oyster. Ever.
Really?
No.
You've never went to a place and put some hot sauce on it?
No, because it looks disgusting.
It's not...
It looks like a big old fat loogie.
It tastes like one too if
Yeah.
you're eating them raw. But smoked oysters, and I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So
What do they call
good.
that? Rockefeller?
That's when you...
What's that?
That's what
Oysters
it was.
Rockefeller.
Dolan and I were talking about it. Isn't that where you hit it with the torch?
I don't know. I just
Oh.
know that's one of the ways you can have oysters. I
think
so.
Oysters Rockefeller.
I'm not sure, but I'm just talking about you go to the canned meat aisle section.
Yeah, and you get those canned oysters.
And they get
yeah.
the canned oysters. Man, I grew up on those. You just throw them on some rice, maybe some kimchi, some soy sauce, whatever. It's so good.
I'm not necessarily a fan of putting cheese on anything that comes from the ocean. Like
No,
cheese?
kimchi.
No, kimchi.
Oh, I thought you said cheese.
Yeah,
But
some
they
shredded Velveeta on my oyster.
You put some pepper jack on there.
Yeah.
They do have those. Those are mussels, but you see the cheese covered
Yeah.
mussels. And,
Sure.
Yeah, I love those, but yeah.
I just don't think cheese is natural on any kind of fish product.
I agree. We had fish tacos the other night, and my wife got shredded cheese out of the fridge, and I was
No.
like, "Get that away from me!
No.
You don't put that
No.
on a fish taco."
No.
Put some slaw on there.
Slaw.
Something.
Some
Yeah.
lime.
I had lemon juice.
There you go.
That was
Okay,
good.
that's fine too.
Yeah.
All right, let's give this a shot, and I'll give you some more brewery
God.
knowledge. Tastes like a stout.
It's got salt. I
Yeah.
definitely get salt, which you don't normally get in a stout. At the end, there's salt,
It's unique.
briny,
It's
chocolatey. It is chocolatey.
Yeah,
Like I will say that.
it's not. I mean,
The body's more like a porter to me.
It's thinner like a porter. Yeah.
Yeah, but the salt really brings it out. It's chocolatey. It's almost earthy. It is definitely earthy.
the oyster is very very faint.
Good. I don't want to taste it.
Like it's not. It smells more oystery than it tastes. Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Rich is going to say, you know what? It's not that bad.
I'm fighting the gag reflex right now.
Oh, no. I thought he was going to say he liked it.
I'm gonna keep.
Is it because the smell? Is it in your brain?
I like oysters though. Like
You do?
Yeah, I've been to New Orleans. You get the whole
Oh, yeah,
plate of
dude.
them, right? You put some
I've
hot
seen that,
sauce
yeah.
on them, and you go to town, and it's
So what's the deal with it in a beer? You just
I don't know.
It's just
I think
not
I'm
for you.
psyching myself out.
see. I've never had a raw oyster. I've had them cooked
Yeah,
or like fried. I've had that, but never raw.
I think I'm psyching myself out.
You know. I don't know. It's
Dolan's gonna do it. You know what?
it's not that bad.
I agree.
It really isn't.
It's super unique, and I've never had
Yeah.
anything like it ever.
I think unique is a very good way to explain it.
This is like one of their house beers.
So people like go in and order this on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, this is like one of their standard beers, I think.
Californians are weird.
It's kind of weird because it's almost like they put the ocean in a stout.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what they say.
It's like the smell that you get when you're walking on a beach. Like that's somehow incorporated into the stout, and I'm kind of here for it. Yeah.
Okay. HenHouse, founded in 2011 by Scott Goyne, Goyne, Goyne.
So it's like Wayne Coyne
Goyne.
from Oklahoma, but from the Flaming Lips. So
Maybe.
like his last name.
Colin McDonald and Shane Gopel, Goepel. Gopel?
Geipel? Like Hypel?
Maybe.
Okay.
Scott was a home brewer, and then he realized, this is way more than a hobby. So he kind of let that trail off for a bit,
Okay.
maybe a little too much. Became a certified herbalist for a while,
As you do in California.
I
Yep.
guess. Then he taught essential oil distillation. Distillation?
Yeah.
In Morocco and Vietnam. So he was
Whoa.
distilling essential
This
oils.
dude is like, he's worldly. I'm going to say that.
And this comes back to one of his other partners, so hang on.
Okay.
Shane comes from the music world.
Okay.
Okay. He toured nationally with two different bands. Couldn't find the bands. Just toured nationally with two different bands.
So is Dolan.
Yeah, I toured nationally, and
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With one band, right?
with one band. Yeah,
We're waiting on the second world tour.
It's
Yeah,
coming.
it's coming.
It's coming. He was a drummer. He also booked shows for them. When he wasn't on the road, he'd like to make beer on Scott's essential oil distillation equipment. So he would use that equipment to make beer.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't either. Well,
I wonder
I've
if it's
never
just
heard of
homebrew kit that he figured out how to make essential oils out of.
I guess.
I
I
don't
don't
know. I'm
know.
going to ask somebody about that.
Look, I've never heard of an oyster stout until we ran across these guys. So
California, man.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, just their
There's a lot to unpack. Holy crow.
Right. Colin. So the last guy, Colin, was he went to school at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. So
Okay.
he was born in
He's a
California.
okay.
Yeah. Ended up in Peoria for a while. Won a national championship on their speech team.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like basketball. No. Speech. Okay.
Now Bradley. Bradley's a
He's an orator.
yeah.
Okay.
He worked for a bit in communications, and he got into brewing because there's no money to be made in communications, I guess. I don't
Probably
know.
not in brewing either.
Well, true. He worked at 5 different Bay Area brewers before getting together with Scott and Shane. So,
Okay. Wow.
2018, they had an investment of $4.5 million for a new expansion, boosting their employee count to over 90, which I thought was kind of
That's
interesting.
a lot.
That's a lot of employees. That expansion increased their capacity from 10,000 barrels to 40,000 barrels a year.
Dang.
So they're not small potatoes.
From what I can tell, I don't think you can get this outside of California.
I could not find distribution.
How did we get this?
A friend of mine in Texas ran across it.
Nice.
So the same guy that got us the Steve Austin and AleSmith,
Oh, okay.
Tony Gwynn beer, sent me this. So
This is a good friend to have.
friend of mine who, maybe works for a different agency that maybe isn't so friendly sometimes.
Oh, but he is.
But he is very friendly, and we share beers.
Nice.
So there you go. Yeah.
Here's what I know. In California, they are still locked down tight. COVID
Yeah.
restrictions.
Yeah.
So you can have your beers delivered to you if you're in California. Call a brewery, get online, they'll ship them to you.
They'll ship them to you?
Problem is, you got to buy a case. And it's a case of tall boy cans, so you're talking 24 pint cans, right?
Okay.
Here's what I wrote down. This is the pricing. For this one beer they call Grain Bravey. So it's like brain gravy. Grain Bravey. That's a double IPA.
Okay.
That's $145 a case for 24 cans.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's a double IPA, so you're probably talking 7.8 to 10%.
It'll do the job, yeah.
Mattress Mafia. That's an IPA.
That was Dolan's nickname in college.
It was $109.
Okay.
Best Life Blonde Ale, $97 a case.
It's a blonde. It's
And their
easy.
Saison is $97 as well, just called Saison, HenHouse Saison.
Okay.
I didn't see the pricing for this specific beer, but on their website, I try to, when I do check them out, I always stay away from like, here's our story and here's our everything. I just go like, let me see the merchandise. Let me see the cans. How much does it cost? Can I get it here? That's usually what I do for research. So this one is 4.8%, if we didn't say that before. You mentioned earlier the Hog Island Oyster Company.
Yep.
That's just north of the Golden Gate Bridge. So San Francisco Bay Area. This beer, I wrote this with asterisks, contains shellfish. Right?
Yeah.
It's right on there. Boom.
So if you're allergic,
You better know that ahead of time. Don't be drinking this.
It also says on the can, check the date.
check the date.
Check the date.
You want to make sure it's, I guess, fresh because it's
Yeah.
got shellfish. You don't want it to be a shelfie of shellfish.
You don't want it to be a fishy stout, right?
Oh, that would be.
Check the date, Dolan. What's it say? See how my boy did.
8/5 of 20.
It's a stout, so
August.
I think we're
5th?
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Wow. Yeah. I wonder if that oyster company, do you know, are they like, do they farm them or do they have a license to get them, fresh out of the waters?
I don't know.
It's
Good
interesting.
question.
I do.
No,
I know this. Hog Island. It's roughly 2 acres. That's it. How big of acreage you got? How much?
2 acres.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this island is as big as your yard.
That's it?
Yes.
Wow.
It's in Marin County, California. So that's Sonoma area. It's wine country, northern-ish California. Guess how they got the name Hog Island?
There were wild boars on
There's
the,
pigs involved.
on the little tiny island?
In the 1870s, there was a barge coming down from Northern California down to Southern California, and it caught on fire.
The barge did.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're like, "Oh God, we gotta save these pigs. This is all the money we got, right?"
Okay.
So they put the pigs, they grounded the boat, and they put them on this island. Well, the pigs escaped, and they ran around the island. But since it was only 2 acres, or maybe a little bit more at that point in time, they did catch them.
Yeah.
So for a while there, that was Hog Island because the hogs were there on this.
They were just going around.
Yes.
I thought they just said, let them go.
Nope. They went and got them and took them back to market.
Okay.
Thought maybe it was just cheaper than building a fence.
Right. It's natural.
And it's just I looked it up. There was a picture on Wikipedia, and it looks like what you would think of a sandbar in the Platte River. That's basically what this Hog Island is. It has a few trees in it. It's super small, and I was just like, wow, this, and there's like its own Wikipedia page, which blew my mind.
I can tell you 2 acres is not very big.
No.
It's not.
The San Andreas Fault runs right through this area, and they say there's a legend. It was like a Native American legend back then. There's also an island that's nearby that's called Duck Island.
Same.
Well,
concept?
there was a barge full of duck. No, there's just ducks there. But they call it Piglet Island because it's smaller than Hog Island, right? And they say that this earthquake that happened in 1906, the big San Francisco earthquake, split the island, just broke it in half, and then it floated off. But there's
one way, one with the other.
Yes, but there's I guess land deeds and newspaper stories and stuff from the 1880s that say that no, those have always been two separate things. That's just some old wives' tale about how that happened. But that's what it is. They are like a oyster fishery.
Okay.
There's a lot of oysters in this area. That salt water, the sea brine stuff that we're talking about in this beer is very important to this area, and that's one of the reasons that I guess the oysters are so good. The water is very conducive to this stuff, and it's far enough away from big time cities that the water is still pretty good, especially for California, I guess. So that's what I know. There's not a lot to know about Hog Island because it's
not very
so
big.
small.
It's not very big.
Oyster Stout, dark, semi-sweet, usually brewed using oyster shells. So that was a thing that happened, must have been around since the 1700s.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what they would do is they would crush up the shells from the oysters. They're usually in seaport towns that would have these beers, right? Okay. Where you're going to have oyster shells.
Yeah.
And they would throw them into the beer because that calcium that's in there pulls all the sediment and all the nastiness stuff together. And then they're able to take it out, and it basically clarifies beer. So that's the reason it's in there.
Oh.
And it gives a little bit of that salty, earthy flavor. That's why the shells are there.
So it almost acts like a charcoal filter?
Kind of, yeah. It's like a natural way to clear beers, 200 years ago. So that's why they were used.
Okay.
It's in the same category now. We would consider it in the same as milk stouts or cream stouts.
Yeah.
In the early 1900s in England, you'd go to a bar, and there would be a stout or a porter. They call it a stout, right? And oysters. That would be their special. So you'd go after work, and this would be you get a plate of oysters and a stout. And those flavors work together enough that sometimes they, put them in there or whatever.
I got to tell you, these are not my people.
There's a Guinness ad. So in 1902, I found in a newspaper, there was a Guinness ad that just said, Guinness and oysters are good for you.
Wow.
And they made an oyster stout for quite a while.
Guinness did?
But it was just the shells, right?
Okay.
And it was specifically just to clarify the beer. That was the reason they did it. There's a thing that's also used, and this, I don't know if this is a technical term, but isinglass. Have you ever heard that word?
No.
So some breweries will use that to also capture particles and clarify the beer. And those are fish bladders. So sometimes maybe you're drinking a beer that's got, would you rather have oyster or fish bladder? I don't know. But now, if you're using oysters or you see oyster stout, mostly it's for the flavor profile changes that it makes. It's not so much to clarify because there's chemistry involved with that nowadays. So if you're seeing the oyster on the label or whatever, it's to impact flavor or just the style of beer. It's not to actually do anything to the beer like it used to do.
Imbue.
Yes.
Imbue?
Full oysters added to the boil. So at that time, that's when they dump them in there, right?
Yeah.
To get that briny flavor. The first time I could find in history that they added the whole oyster and not just the shell or some liquid was in New Zealand in 1929. So that's almost 100 years now, I guess.
Okay.
But that was just something they had hanging out, laying around, and they said, let's throw it in here and see what happens.
Sure.
Other ones that are out there that I could find that maybe other people can find, Flying Dog. You ever heard of that brewery?
I have.
They have one that's called Pearl Necklace. Great ZZ Top song as well.
Yeah.
Enter it here. Bloop. 5.5%. Then there's 21st Amendment. That's a San Francisco brewery
Heard
that
them.
I've been to. Best watermelon beer of my life.
Wow.
Watermelon wheat. And it comes with a slice of watermelon on the glass. Plop.
Ah.
That was pretty good stuff.
Interesting.
They have one called Marooned on Hog Island.
Well, there you go.
So if you're marooned, you want a beer. But this one, 7.9%. So almost double the ABV on this one. And then there's one called Porterhouse. So Porterhouse Brewing's Oyster Stout. So the only places I've seen these has been West Coast, and then sometimes up in like Massachusetts I've seen a couple. But there ain't nobody in Nebraska brewing an Oyster Stout. And that's, I guess because we don't have them.
I don't care how quickly Absolutely Fresh can get, which is our local like fish guy place. How quickly they can get it, it's not quick enough.
Too fishy for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Shellfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? What are we talking about here?
Okay.
Shellfish. Here's the definition of what I wrote down. It's a colloquial. That's a big word.
That is.
After a couple beers. Colloquial term for exoskeletal, aquatic, and vertebrates. Holy smokes.
Wow.
I made it. That was one take.
Wow.
Including mollusks, crustaceans, and, oh boy, echinoderms.
Echinoderms.
Here we go.
Okay.
Dolan wants to know what that is.
Yeah.
Things like starfish, sea urchins, sand dollars, and sea cucumbers.
Those are shellfish.
That technically is a shellfish.
Huh.
Crustacean is in the family. We know what those are mostly, but
Yeah.
if you don't, there's crabs, lobsters, shrimps, prawns, krill, woodlice, and barnacles. So a barnacle is a shellfish.
Huh.
Those usually grown on the side of the boat.
Yep.
And mollusks, we know what those are basically, but there's 85,000 different kinds of mollusks in the ocean.
Yeah.
So a ton. Shellfish are basically not fish. So it says shellfish, but they're not. None of them are fish. And they're super low on the food chain. So they're like the bugs of the ocean, if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's one of the reasons that historically they have been ixnayed by some certain religions. Like you can't eat shellfish, right?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So the Jewish traditions, Seventh-day Adventists, and then some Muslim sects, shellfish is off the table. You cannot have it because it's like the bottom of the bottom. So it's eating the bottom of the ocean. It's trash animal or whatever, and we don't do it. Same reason for pig and things like that.
Trash tastes pretty good. Crabs and
I think so too. So my introduction to any like shellfish stuff is via Cajun food.
Yeah.
So every year I'd go to Mardi Gras. We'd stay with like real legit Cajun folks and have like crawfish boils and shrimp and crab and blue crab and that sort of stuff. Not around here too often. There's maybe a couple different Cajun places in Omaha. There's hundreds and hundreds of restaurants, and there's probably like 3 places that you could get, like crawfish or something.
Like
but
real Cajun food.
like the real deal stuff, yeah. So we make it at home quite a bit. But that's where I didn't have the upbringing that Dolan had, and he got to try all these things when he was a kid. So I came to it later in
Do you
life.
like the crawfish?
I love it.
Really?
Oh,
I love crawfish too.
I love pulling it. I'm not a head sucker.
Okay.
Some people are to get that brain. Like
I'm kind of a head sucker.
I will, but they used to sell at Hy-Vee. They don't do it anymore, but they used to sell just frozen crawfish tails.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was like $30 a pound. But
Dang.
so it was like that was our special occasion, like New Year's Eve. We'd make like an etouffee or jambalaya, and we actually put in crawfish. Oh God, it's so good, so good.
It always tastes like dirt to me, though. I don't know.
Just the earthiness of it.
I guess
That's probably what I'm getting the earthiness of this in this beer. But
I like lobsters. I like crab. I just could never ever do the crawfish.
I'm not a lobster guy. I don't like it.
I was gonna say, as much
sweet.
as like lobster is presented as this high end, thing, I haven't had a lobster that's made me go like, I want this again. Like I'll stick to my crab legs.
The only time I ever had it that I was like that was in Jamaica.
Oh,
and
really?
it wasn't like the normal lobster, like what we see, like get red lobster or whatever, Atlantic.
Yeah.
It was way smaller, warm water lobster, and was amazing.
I'll tell you though, I could eat my weight in shrimp though.
Oh yeah.
Shrimp's good.
Oh yeah. Whenever we have family gatherings and you have the shrimp platters with the cocktail sauce.
Yeah.
I'll just stand there, talk and just
eat.
Chop and
go.
pop.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Scoop in this cocktail sauce.
Yep.
All right, here's where I'm at with this beer.
Okay.
I finished it.
Well, it wasn't a
Wow.
very big pour, I will say, but you did finish it. That's
Now I
good.
finished it. I don't want any more.
Oh, I do.
However,
There's more here.
Yeah.
It
It almost
got-
tastes spicy to me.
a little.
A little bit.
Is that weird? What's that from?
I don't know.
The chocolate part, like with
Maybe
with the malt.
It's almost like a
maybe?
bitterness, and it's almost like when you eat a pepper. It has that effect on my throat right now. Like it's just there.
I get that in maybe like when you breathe out that after.
Maybe it's just it might just be that roasted chocolate.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would want more. However, I finished it and it was fine.
It was drinkable.
It was drinkable.
I
Yeah.
would
It is not
buy
my
this.
jam.
I would buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be in my fridge for sure.
There's a little bit more for you.
As the beer journey
Little.
goes, though, you got to try it. You have to try it.
Well, when it's presented to you, you have to. I mean, I've never had, like I said, one of these oysters. Just not been around. So.
when he said, "Here, I got something for you. You got to do this."
Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
This
fine.
is kind of what this show's been built on. Things
Yes.
like this.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
fine.
there's only so many IPAs we can try, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would try more.
I mean, they would get boring, but
So-
yes.
So when they put the oyster in the boil,
Uh-huh.
it does actually boil, like cook the oyster.
Yeah.
I would
So do
assume
they-
so.
I would assume they siphon them out, or when they pump it out, they have a screen, kind of like a sieve, you know?
Yeah.
So, because like you would do with like hops or hop pellets or whatever.
I'm wondering if you can reuse those oysters.
See, I
Like
see where
they're
Dolan's
cooked.
going with
He
this.
wants
Like,
to make a soup.
Can you throw them in a stew? Can you
I would assume, why not?
I feel like if the brewery's doing that, they might serve it on the side.
Yeah.
Does
you're
the brewery-
cooking them, yeah.
What if you fry, and then you just took it into the fryer?
Yeah.
Beer battered oysters. They're like nachos.
Yeah.
They're
Double
just
beard.
oysters. I don't know. Oh, here's one little last thing about shellfish I had left in my notes. 1% of the population is allergic to shellfish. So only 1%. I thought it would be higher than that.
Yeah, with all the warnings and stuff. I
Yeah.
thought.
Right.
But yeah, I guess
But still, 1% is a lot of people.
that is, when you
that
think of
is,
it that way,
yeah.
yes.
I actually used to work with a lady who was allergic to shellfish to the point where she couldn't even smell it. If she smelled it, she would instantly
break
puff up.
out and
Yep,
stuff?
break
Wow.
out.
Wow.
Throat would close up.
Yeah, it's like a legit out. It's not like, oh, I got an itch. It's
No.
like, I might die.
You could die.
Yeah.
Like peanut allergies.
Yeah.
Are,
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird how those have gotten more and more prevalent. Like when we were kids, when there was no label or warning at like the school, like this stuff was, they were giving you peanut butter sandwiches even if you didn't want one. They'd shove
Right.
it in your mouth.
Yeah. Just eat it. You're
Yeah.
fine. Then go to gym
That's right.
and run.
Ooh, sorry, this is organic non-peanut peanut butter, sun butter. We ain't doing that.
I
Get out of
love
here.
sun butter though. Come on.
Look at this. Come on. I don't know. What do you think? What's the rating on this bad boy? Where are we at?
Let's go TripAdvisor first.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
TripAdvisor, 4.5 out of 23 reviews. Not a ton.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're going to Sonoma, you're not going to go to the brewery. You're going for
drinking
the wine. Yeah.
Right, you're drinking wine. Now, maybe it's your wife wants to go drink wine, so you drag her to a
Yeah.
brewery or two, and
Yeah.
this could be along the way.
That'd be fun.
Here's the review, and I picked this one specifically for you, Brian.
Oh, okay.
If you like IPAs and hops, you will most definitely like HenHouse. You will most definitely enjoy HenHouse.
Okay.
This was highly recommended to us by several locals, so we stopped by. Of the two of us, one who loves IPAs liked this place a lot. The other one likes dark beers, would have skipped it. So if you like dark beers, don't go here,
Unless
which
you
is
like
weird.
oyster stouts.
Unless you like oyster stouts, yeah.
Or that churro stout.
They have a very wide variety of IPAs with different styles and flavors. Not much, a smaller variety of other beers. The service was friendly. It was within walking distance of Lagunitas, a distillery, and 101 North Brewing, so you can easily make a tour for people who have different tastes. So you could walk to Lagunitas from here.
Or stumble, crawl, roll.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Uber.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to finally hit me like I miss going to places and trying new beers.
Yeah.
Right.
Like every time I go on a trip, half the trip at least is around how many breweries can I go to?
Right.
Dude, I don't go anywhere. I haven't been any place. I haven't been to any breweries. I'm starting to finally miss it.
In the limited time that we've gone to different places or whatever, especially in Colorado, I try to nudge Jenny in the direction of places that have good local beer selections, right? So I can try to fill that. I can itch that scratch with with that selection there, right? With that type of thing. So, Untapped 5,051 check-ins.
That's quite a few, I guess.
I would think. I'm not going to lead you one way or the other.
Yeah.
I would think if you're drinking this beer, you're going to be very deliberate about it.
You're on purpose.
Correct.
Most people were like you probably and be like, ooh, oysters.
Ooh.
No thanks.
However, if I saw this on the menu, I would definitely order it no matter what.
I would after today.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Dolan, what do you think?
You said how many check-ins?
5,051.
5,051. I'm gonna go 382.
3.73.
3.73.
Is it really?
Yes.
Whoa, ding, ding, ding.
Only the second time.
Beer.
You didn't even have to put in any kind of sound effects. Yeah, 3.73.
Nice.
Look at that.
Dang.
Unbelievable.
Who would thought I would ever guess
You would
oyster
nail
beer?
the oyster
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah, not me.
I wish I could remember the other one that you nailed. I can't remember.
Yeah,
the
there was actually one or two other ones that you
We've
got.
been close.
I've only gotten one
Dolan's
on the
got it?
dot.
That's true.
Oh, just
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, oh boy. So if you're in Sonoma and you're not into wine, but you
Yeah.
like seafood, here you go.
Check it out, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or if you're into like rooster decor, check out their art.
If
Very
anybody's
cool.
ever there and you can get like a tin tacker sign, like you get one of the signs with this rooster on it, I would gladly reimburse you for this if you send it to me because that's fantastic.
It is pretty cool. And they're all, the one I was talking about earlier where it said like Grain Bravey or whatever.
Yes.
It was just a rooster with like psychedelic sunglasses on his face. I was like, oh yeah, I like this.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you're into pigs, go to Hog Island.
Go to Hog Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can walk around it in a few minutes.
All right, fellas, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.